Chamber is currently the most picked and arguably the most powerful agent in Valorant, and the biggest core of his power is the main point of his abilities, his teleport. So let's talk about how Valorant can fix this so-called Chamber problem. Alright, so the raw power of Chamber comes from his ability to instantly teleport to safety, allowing him to play weird off angles and make plays that no other agent outside of someone like Jett could make. It allows him to play sloppily and still survive and get value. Now, this is a very similar problem to the previous top pick in the game, Jett, with one exception. Chamber's whole point of existing is to op, and without the ability to instantly teleport, he doesn't help too much with doing that. Think about Yoru trying to teleport after getting an op kill. It's just worse than unpeaking. In Chamber's defense, he does require a lot more thinking and planning than Jett's old dash, as he at least has to place down his teleports in advance, but there's no time limit and it still feels mindless. For this reason, I feel that Chamber needs to see some kind of change to bring him more in line with Valorant's tactical loop, and it's actually been said by Riot developers that they are looking to take another pass at Chamber with more nerfs to try to bring him down a notch or two. So let's talk about 4 changes I think could be made to try and reduce the impact of Chamber. Okay, I believe that the most meaningful change that could occur would be a change to his teleport, but one that doesn't remove the instant teleport. Similar to how they nerfed Jett's dash without removing the instantness of it once activated. While I've seen it suggested several times, they could implement a timer where Chamber has to prep his teleport or else lose it, similar to how Jett is. However, I highly dislike this approach as it makes him just a copy of Jett. And I instead believe that they could do several other things that would work better and make him a much different character from Jett. First, I feel that the recharge on Chamber's utility is way too fast. I think that it would make sense to get rid of the 30-second refresh time on his teleport ability and instead make it a 2-kill situation similar to Jett's dash ability. While this doesn't change anything for the first kill of a round, it means Chamber shouldn't use his teleport for fast rotations, getting up to weird spots, or anything that isn't needed. This simply reduces his consistent value. If you feel that that's too harsh, another interesting nerf could be if they remove his ability to teleport pre-round, or at least remove his ability to recharge his teleport pre-round. Chamber currently can use his teleport to get to weird spots, then have it recharge 3 seconds later and use the teleport to get away during the round. I feel like a more balanced way to approach this would be to make it so that if he TP'd pre-round, he doesn't get it back, and if you implement the 2-kill recharge, he wouldn't get it back till he got 2 kills. Or if you leave the cooldown, it doesn't start cooling down or refreshing until the round starts. This means, similar to a Jett updraft, you have to commit to that position and sacrifice your free escape for an off angle, making Chamber have to think a little bit more about positioning, which seems to align with how they like to balance agents, having to think more. Another approach they could take is just giving enemies more counterplay, and a way I believe they could do this is to make the yellow ring produced by Chamber's teleport beacons visible to everyone, including the enemies. This would mean if Chamber has his TP hidden away in a corner, people may be able to see where it's located and reduces the ability for Chamber to sit in weird spots and encourage him to use it more as a take a shot and run ability, not as a hold really weird off angles ability. So if they wanted to expand upon it further, they could make it so that you can only see the ring while Chamber is in it, giving enemies more of an ability to play around it, and focusing more on the gunplay for Chamber. These last 2 suggestions could be combined to make it so that you can see both rings, but one lights up brighter when Chamber's in it. This would reduce weird off angles and just make Chamber have to think more about TP positioning and how to play off of his TPs. I actually really like the idea of making his rings visible, as it reminds me kind of Killjoy's weakness of having her utility disable. In those situations, you know Killjoy is not nearby if you see that her utility is disabled, and these rings could kind of work the same way. Either way, those were my first couple ideas of how Riot could nerf Chamber without altering his core identity as a character. However, I've been thinking, and I've come up with a couple more, and I feel like any of these or any combination of these could be an interesting way to bring Chamber down in power and pick rate while maintaining his ability to be great at opping and teleport. For example, another idea I believe could be interesting is requiring line of sight between Chamber's teleport anchors and himself in order to teleport. This just makes it harder for him to get away, sneaking into weird corners where people can't see the teleport, and then still getting away. This also gives more counterplay off of the first teleport, as there's a higher chance of enemies being able to destroy his teleport anchors. Similar to the last suggestion, it could also be really interesting to allow Chamber to only pick up his anchors with line of sight, meaning he would have to re-peek where he was standing in order to get his anchors back. This again requires him to be more strategic and put his anchors in places where he can re-engage, and would allow for more counterplays where enemies could almost guard his teleport anchors, locking him out of the ability. Along with these changes, I believe that they should increase or remove the cooldown for his anchors coming back after being destroyed. I feel like if they made it so destroying his anchors removed his ability to teleport for the rest of the round or just for more time, it would again give more counterplay and make destroying a teleport more than an added 15-second delay for Chamber. They could also implement something where there is a cooldown after teleporting where you can't pick up the anchors, meaning you have to play further away to keep them safe. Just think about if you had to guard your anchors and be smart with them. It's similar to Jett's nerf, where it just requires more planning, game sense, and strategy, and I believe that's a good thing and exactly how they should approach it. I don't think just copying and pasting the solution for Jett is the right way to go about this. I feel like Chamber should have his own unique advantages and disadvantages, and his instant teleport is something that I think they should keep. But I do think one or a couple of these changes could be implemented to make him feel a little bit more fair. And the biggest reason for that is just he doesn't feel like there's a lot of counterplay. He gets the kill, he gets away, and there's no way to trade him. But even if he doesn't kill, he still gets away. And so it's very hard to trade or to punish a Chamber who is playing weird. I think just giving more opportunities to punish Chamber, especially around his teleport, is really, really important. I do think they could make some other changes to his other util to bring down his versatility, but I think it's going to be very similar to what they did with Jett, where they tried to nerf like other parts of Jett's kit, not her dash. And it just didn't affect her pick rate because the dash was the reason she was so powerful. And I feel like that's the same way with Chamber. They've touched everything except for his teleport. They have messed with his teleport a little bit, but they have not changed the fundamental like power of his teleport. And I think that is something they need to look at. On top of that, I'd love to see the removal of the slow when he gets a kill with his op, the reduction in speed of how fast you pull out his sheriff, maybe reducing the speed at which he can fire his op shots. All of those would be really, really good changes, I believe, but I think that they really do need to address the core fundamental quote-unquote issues with his abilities. And again, those all point back to his teleport ability, which I do think needs a change. But there's so many different ways they could go about it. I'm sure there are tons of ways I didn't even think of that they've already considered. I'm very curious what they'll do, and I really hope we see these changes soon. But yeah, overall, as long as they can change his teleport to be something a little bit more counterplayable, I think it'll make Chamber a much healthier agent for the game overall. But that's just my opinion, and I'm actually very curious about your guys' opinions. Chamber has gone through a lot in terms of nerfs, and I'm curious how people think he needs to be changed, or if he even needs to be changed. The Riot devs clearly think he does, but I'm very curious about the general community sentiment. So let me know all of your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, check out some of my other content. I've been trying to do some more informational style content, or content like this as well. So I'd recommend checking that out. For example, the end card should be one of my videos where I talk about Jett and like all of the changes she's gone through since her release and how that's affected her pick rate in the meta. It's a really fun passion project I did, and it would mean the world if you went and checked it out. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.